been a long time coming for me to share with you some very, very important things. And I am going to be reading from what is approved by my legal team. So I am, once I start getting into what I need to share with you guys today, what I feel is important to share with you, I won't be deviating. And it's at the advice of my legal counsel. So there's so much going on YouTube and in the world. And I just, first off, I do want to request something. Actually, before that, I just want to tell you that I missed you guys. A lot. And I'm sorry that you haven't seen me in a while. And I'm hoping that this video clears up a lot of the reasons why I felt I could not be online over the past couple of months. I have missed making videos, and I've missed you so, so much. But I do want to ask anyone watching this that believes in anything higher than themselves, that believes in any higher power, all higher power, all God is love and the root of love. And I am a woman of faith, and I've been praying every day over this event, scandal, whatever you want to name it. And I just ask that you press pause for a moment, and even just for 10 seconds, just cover this in prayer, because there is so much healing that needs to take place. There was a lot of injustice, and there's a lot of truth that needs to come forward, but it is not going to be easy, and it's very painful. And I don't wish harm or hate on anyone, and I just want to make that very, very clear. I'm an imperfect person, and I do my best to be caring, kind, and loving, and I screw up, and I make bad choices. And I think that we all right now, we go online, and it's really easy to make terrible choices, even with how you cast a vote on your what your opinion is of someone's news story, or whatever is going on in the world, or just anything you see in the media right now. Be mindful. We're made to feel like we have to follow the herd. And there are so many AI bots and accounts that aren't even real that influence your opinion on whatever narrative is out there. And it has just left me feeling really heartbroken. If enough people have one opinion about something, it feels like the masses turn the tide really quickly. And I've witnessed that, and I feel like I've experienced that with my own scandal, but it's even worse, like stepping back from the picture and not being like so close up to it, and actually stepping back. And with all of the sadness going on in the world, you see how quickly the tides turn. And I just want to inspire you guys, or just empower you actually, to look further into yourself and your own opinions, and don't follow the herd. Follow your heart, really. Because I thought I was following mine, but I was listening to the wrong people. So if you can take anything from this, it's listen to your heart first, and always, and don't bend on that. I feel like sometimes we're afraid to be ourselves in this world. Like, our freedom of speech is expanded in areas and limited in others, because the second that someone jumps and disagrees, it feels like so many jump with that, and you feel voiceless and afraid to speak up. And I think that's a scary part of the world right now, that some of the good is suppressed and voiceless. And I'm not here for that, and I want to speak as much of my truth as I legally am permitted to do. And so I'm going to share what I can, and I love you all so much, and I'm grateful for anyone that has come here to hear my experience of 2019. So, talking publicly about a wound in my heart that I don't think will ever fully heal is not something I ever wanted to do. I avoided it, even though I felt the heaviness of so much disappointment, Until today, I made no comment, and I have made every effort to move through this with dignity. The reality is, every day I've struggled quietly trying to rebuild my now poisoned reputation. The heartbreak that was born from this scandal still lingers, and I feel it won't ever have the opportunity to completely heal until I uncover the truth from all parties involved and their motivation of it all. For over a year now, every time the scandal is revisited, either in the mainstream media or through social platforms, I become the number one target of relentless hate while remaining voiceless. I've lost over a year of my life terrified of social media and terrified of speaking up against the people that used, coerced, and manipulated me into uploading my video in May of last year. As a result, the damage to my health, relationships, reputation, business, and general well-being have been enormous. The platform that I love, this platform that saved my life and that changed my life, has become toxic, and what it needs now more than ever are peacemakers. We need to find our way back to the beginning through forgiveness and leading with love. We need to rebuild a safe place to escape again. Our world seems to be falling apart all around us, so the last thing you need me to do is fuel more hate by releasing my receipts and voice memos. But I know many of you are needing some answers, as well as a long overdue apology for the role that I played. Also, by the way, these are my words. I did write this, and this is from my heart, but I am being careful here, and I think you guys understand why. Back in December 2019, after Shane and Jeffrey's series ended, James Charles came to my LA home, and we compared DMs, texts, and stories about what had happened behind the scenes. We apologized to each other, forgave each other, and agreed to wait patiently until it was safe for me to share my story. Since that night, James Charles has repeatedly said that he wanted to be beside me for this video. But I felt it was important that I do it alone, because he deserves my first apology. And I am really sorry, James. And I've said that privately, but I want you to hear it publicly. I'm sorry. To provide some context, it's important for you to know that I love James Charles. He has a special place in my heart, and that never changed, even when I was hurt. I promised my dad I wasn't going to cry. I've been trying to feel... Can't do this. I've been trying to feel strong enough to do this video because I want to feel strong. I don't feel like I'm able to talk about any of this without getting emotional. So forgive my emotions. This is really difficult stuff. I was always more of a mentor than a friend to James Charles. I was someone he could lean on if he needed advice. He came into my life after he had sent me a tweet in 2016, and I met him in person for the first time at a Generation Beauty event in New York. Not long after that, his CoverGirl deal was made public, and he was off to the races. I was a proud friend, and I wanted nothing but good things for him. A few months later, he was a guest at my wedding, where he did my makeup for my wedding day. It's still my favorite memory of us, as it was a gift getting to know him before all of the success. James Charles has made his fair share of mistakes and has been in scandals. We all have, but I always believed in him, as he had a rare ability to improve himself through any situation. In the past, if I was upset, it never lasted long. He is gifted with turning pain into strength, and I've always admired that. However, prior to the scandal last May, I'd started growing frustrated with what I perceived as a progressing sense of entitlement, and I felt that he was making some detrimental choices that could jeopardize his career and safety. None of my concerns became overwhelming until after I met Shane Dawson. When I made my video, I expressed my opinions about James Charles's behavior. I expressed how much a specific decision he made that I perceived as betrayal hurt me. I was very worried and heartbroken, but I did not lie in that video. I never called James Charles a predator, and I never said that James Charles was a danger to society. My video was not made with any malice. I did not publicly air any of the horrific accusations that were being made behind the scenes. While I was definitely upset that he had accepted a sponsorship from the biggest rival to my brand, Halo Beauty, I did not make my video because of vitamins. I made it as a result of all of the poisonous lies that were fed to me by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star. James Charles's Sugar Bear Hair sponsorship and all of the drama that had kicked up afterwards, that was just my breaking point. Yes, I'm a grown woman. I'm smart. I can usually spot deceit and manipulation a mile away, but my guard was down from being heartbroken, and I allowed myself to be worked by Shane, Jeffree, and others. After my video went up, I was never served a lawsuit or any cease and desist letters. I only privated my video at the request of YouTube because YouTube said it was a bad look for their platform. James, I am so sorry that I allowed myself to be poisoned and weaponized against you. I'm sorry that I bought into any of their lies. Believing those lies and allowing myself to be gaslit into making that video is one of the biggest regrets of my life. I should have tried harder to reach you over those concerns in person. And I'm sorry for giving up on you. The information they were giving me was terrifying. I thought your career and freedom were in jeopardy. I was trying to get you to put your phone down and seek help because I was told there were a lot of victims that were going to come forward to destroy you. I was foolish for believing them. I was scared. I thought if I called you out, you would put your phone down and stop the detrimental behavior I was being made to believe was true. James, I apologize for uploading that video. I should have known better than to fall for their lies and manipulation, but in the end, I failed. And instead, I allowed Shane and Jeffree to put a wedge between our friendship. Jeffree Star first contacted me early in his YouTube career wanting to meet. But it wasn't until 2017 that we started speaking. I knew that Jeffree had had a lot of drama in his past, but when he came to me, he presented himself as someone who had changed and was trying to be better. I saw his pain and I felt that I could be a positive influence. As time went on, I learned that being friends with Jeffree Star was like being friends with a lion. Yes, he may have been dangerous, but he was always really kind to me. From time to time, I would see improvements, which were followed by setbacks thereafter, but overall, I thought he was growing as a person. And again, I thought I could be a good example for him. I even tried to get him involved with my favorite charity. Diverting from script, P.S. I am going to be speaking on my real life more freely, I hope, in the future and the things that I think are important. I have participated in this charity for years on end now, and I love their work, and I had it in my head that if I could pull Jeffree somehow into like being a role model or feeling like a role model, that could be really empowering to him. And when you empower someone to feel good about feeling good, it will help them change. And if you just tear someone down, no change. So I did try to get him involved with my favorite charity, Spirit Awakening Foundation, which helps at-risk kids that had found themselves in legal trouble but are trying to change their lives for the better. My intentions with Jeffrey were good, but I was a fool for thinking that I could ever help him become a better person. Which brings me back to another long overdue apology. Jackie Ina. Jackie, the moment that Jeffrey went off on you, the day before my first video collab with him went live, I should have run for the hills. I was naive. I was excited about the video. I got it twisted that you had provoked Jeffrey because you were angry that I had filmed with someone who had a history of being labeled by others as a racist. Jackie, I'm sorry that I did not do the right thing and walk away from him then. I should have not been blind to the reasons behind the accusations of his racism. I shouldn't have defended him, and I regret any of the pain that I may have caused you. And for the record, loud and clear, I've always liked you, and I've always enjoyed you, every interaction that we've had face to face. And I let you down. And I am so genuinely sorry for that. In 2018, I saw from the sidelines what happened in Dramageddon 1 with Manny, Laura, Gabriel, and Nikita. That should have been to me some big red flag of what happens when Jeffrey is unhappy with someone. But for some twisted sense of civic duty, I thought it was my responsibility to stay in Jeffrey's life and try to help him become a better person. When Shane Dawson's first series with Jeffrey happened, from all outside appearances, it looked like Jeffrey was actually changing for the better. He was accepting responsibility for things that had happened in his past, and he was pledging to be a better person. I believed him again. During those first 2 years of knowing Jeffrey, it's important to note that we did not actually spend much time together. I was invited a few times to go to his home, but I usually declined. On the 2 occasions that I did go to his home, I did not stay long because I don't smoke marijuana and I just don't like to be around it. Likewise, he came to my home on a few occasions and he also did not stay long. So the vast majority of our relationship was primarily by FaceTime, telephone, or texts. Sometimes weeks or months would go by without hearing anything from him, but I always heard from him when he was involved in drama or when he had a new launch about to happen. Though I recognized this pattern, any suspicion that I had of being used was clouded by the hope that he actually cared for me and that I was a positive influence in his life. As a result, I usually would take his snarky statements about others with a grain of salt. One thing that he did that did concern me a lot was how he would frequently comment about how much dirt he held on other brand owners and members of our YouTube community. I believe that he actually held blackmail material on many people and was capable of destroying the entire community. This worried me about him, and I stayed and I tried my best to be a positive influence. My opinion, he's gonna go off, guys, and I don't think anyone, I don't think he will hold back, and I think we need to be prepared to understand that we need to forgive the people that he is holding hostage with veiled threats of exposure. We need to be prepared to forgive them. Otherwise, this won't stop. So prepare to not cancel everyone and give them a chance. It's not right. It is not right to try to trap people into saying things that they wouldn't otherwise say. It's not right. I was blind. I was so blind. And I don't want any part of it anymore. None. None. Back in 2019, Jeffrey started talking a lot more crap about James Charles than usual. It seemed that doing so had become his biggest obsession. It started with him telling me right before filming our collab together for James Charles's channel that James Charles actually didn't want me there, that he had wanted Nikki tutorials instead, but said he had had my back. Things further escalated at my birthday. Every time James Charles's back was turned, Jeffrey would tell me that James Charles was out of control. He even texted and called me the following morning to apologize for James Charles's behavior at my birthday dinner and how embarrassed he was for me. I initially dismissed it as jealousy because James Charles's career was on a rocket ship at the time, but as the weeks went by, every time I saw or spoke with Jeffrey, it seemed to me that James was all he wanted to talk about. I even met with Jeffrey in his Killer Merch offices in March to discuss Jeffrey developing and managing my merch. And as we were touring his warehouse that was filled with sisters' apparel, it seemed that all he could do was speak poorly of James Charles. Over the next few weeks, Jeffrey began talking to me about how Shane Dawson was a big fan of mine and wanted to meet me, and how I should be involved in their docuseries. Eventually, Shane reached out to me by text and started DMing me on Instagram. Shane said I was the queen of makeup reviews on YouTube, that I was his favorite beauty channel, and he wanted me to teach him all about makeup. I didn't know much about Shane Dawson. I knew that he was viewed as the king of YouTube, and he had done amazing series with Bunny, and I hadn't watched much of anything else other than Jake Paul series, and of course, the series with Jeffrey. In all honesty, I was looking forward to meeting Shane. I had actually hoped he would want to help me tell my personal story one day about all the pain and heartbreak in my life that led me to wanting to start my own YouTube channel back in 2010. I wish I had researched him better. I wish I had watched his old videos. I wish I had educated myself and I was aware of his earlier content. All I knew at the time was that Shane Dawson was the most adored documentary filmmaker on YouTube, so I invited him over to my home to play with makeup and to get to know him. Shane came over one afternoon in April and I opened up and shared things that I've only shared with my closest of friends. I shared that I had been the victim of sexual assault. I spoke about my faith and told him how deeply I feel for others. He shared with me that he was an empath and that he could feel all of my pain. He pledged his unending friendship and loyalty to me forever in this life and in the next one. He told me that God had called me to be a beacon of light for the world so that it could be a better place. He also shared that Jeffrey had wanted me to have a small role in their docuseries, but the entire series was quickly changing because there was something horrible happening in our community with James Charles. He said that James Charles was a monster with many victims. Yes, I knew that Shane was friends with Jeffrey and that they were working together, but I thought to myself, why would Shane Dawson, the king of truth on YouTube, be turning against James Charles unless these things he was saying were true? Why would Shane sit in my home and spend so many hours telling me these horrific allegations if they were not true? Shane said that James Charles was a monster and that James Charles was hurting minors. Shane said he was planning to interview victims for the docuseries. He told me that something needed to be done to stop him from hurting more people. Over the course of the next few weeks, he and Jeffrey fed me so much information that I felt sick. Almost every day, there was more information and new allegations. Eventually, I started believing what they were saying because they said they had evidence. By the time the drama around James Charles's promotion of Sugar Bear hair reached its peak, I was beyond gaslit. Shane Dawson didn't just know about my Bye Sister video. He offered to help edit it. He even offered to design the thumbnail and help title it. I declined his offer, but his gesture supported and reinforced for me that he was telling the truth. Why else would he jeopardize his career? So surely Jeffrey was telling the truth too. Keep in mind that up until this point, I didn't even know I was making a video. So how is it that so many editorial outlets knew that something was coming before I had even made a decision to film? I struggled with the decision to film my video for days. The night before I did film, Jeffrey sent me what he claimed was an audio file from an alleged victim and told me to listen to the pain in their voice. The audio was clearly a small portion of a larger conversation. It wasn't enough for me to contact the authorities. It was enough to scare me. As a victim of abuse myself, I know how terrifying it is to think of facing public humiliation and legal proceedings. It wasn't my place to contact authorities. It was not my place to contact authorities or the alleged victim, and I made no mention of it in my video. The night before posting my video, Bye Sister, I texted Shane sharing my concerns for James Charles, that he was out of the country on the high floor of a hotel and I was afraid for him hurting himself. Shane texted me back and said that I should not be nervous about the 50th floor, that James Charles was a narcissist and that he would never do that. The day the video went up, Shane requested to come over to my home and film and document what was happening. I declined. After a few days of Jeffrey fanning the flames on Twitter, no victims appeared as they had stated would happen, and no evidence came forward as they stated would happen. The last time I spoke with either Jeffrey or Shane on the phone was the night before Jeffrey's "Never Doing This Again" video. Shortly after, the relationship dissolved entirely, and I was so confused. I bought into the conspiracy theory that what happened was all a social experiment, and that maybe James Charles was even involved, and that there was going to be a big reveal in Shane's docu-series, and that I would be the fool who fell for it. Shane never reached out to check on me, and he never shared the trailer with me. The last time we spoke on the phone was before Jeffrey's apology video, and I asked him to not include the drama in the series. He only texted me after the trailer was live with an audio message telling me to not worry about it. The drama was only going to be one episode. For the next few months, I was tormented with subtweets and innuendo that there was a huge drama around the corner. I felt that I was a liability to them and that I knew too much, so I put all of my text messages and other files on a hard drive and told a few people that I was afraid for my life and had given everything to my lawyers. I was hoping that information would leak, as I thought it might keep me safe. My mental and physical health suffered. My businesses suffered. It was all I could do to pull myself together for the launch of Tati Beauty. That night helped me so much to everyone that came, because I felt like I didn't have community anymore. And I was too ashamed to even think about inviting anyone from my community. And I'm just so grateful to my subscribers that showed up for me. And I just hope that you're still there. I got a heart attack. Last fall, I became so afraid to stay in my LA home that I bulk filmed a lot of videos and I left town in October to get away from it all. I was so upset that I continued to lose weight. I couldn't sleep, and slowly I became a shell of my former self. I had intended on pursuing fertility treatments in 2019, but my mind and body were just too frail. My mind and body were just too frail to support a pregnancy. It wasn't until the series ended in December, when James Charles and I met, that I started to realize what had actually happened. Over the next few months, A few people have bravely come forward with more information, and the pieces of what we believe actually happened are coming together. Make no mistake, this is far from over. I've been terrified for a very long time, so much so that I had to relocate again 2 months ago, and I have taken serious security precautions to ensure my safety. On the advice of my attorneys, I cannot share with all of you right now the evidence that we have accumulated of the events that have occurred. However, there will soon come a day where we will be able to present this evidence, and you will be able to see why it is we believe that Jeffrey and Shane are responsible for so much of the damage that has been caused. I can tell you this. It's now my opinion that Jeffrey and Shane were both bitterly jealous of James Charles's success. Jeffrey resented that so much of his business was centered around his biggest rival, and Shane did not like that James Charles wanted to make a documentary. Neither of them were happy with standing in his shadow on YouTube anymore. I believe James Charles was gaining more followers and receiving more views and more press faster than anyone in the history on the platform. And it's also my opinion that Jeffrey and Shane needed James marginalized and out of the way for their November launch of the Conspiracy Palette along with Shane's merch. I've also recently been informed that Jeffrey is allegedly a co-owner of Morphe. Before the scandal occurred, I had also been told that James Charles was about to develop an entire cosmetics line with the owners of Morphe. This entire situation opens up a Pandora's box of speculation, but I'm just not sure anyone counted on this drama spreading like wildfire. It's my opinion that everyone involved got scared, and their plan changed multiple times as I refused to play along or engage with the drama over the next several months. A year later, it is now my opinion that James Charles was not their only intended target. I believe that there are many different people who have unclean hands in all of this, and there was a coordinated plan to keep me quiet and push me out of the way for other business reasons. I do not think it's a coincidence that Morphe is about to launch their own brand of hair, skin, nail gummy vitamins. I do not think it was just Shane and Jeffrey that stood to benefit from my being silenced. This was just too big. I think there were many players, and I have every intention of getting to the truth. In early May, when Jeffrey went on a podcast and denied responsibility for his involvement and placed blame on me, it was both cowardly and defamatory. Last week, when Shane issued his statements about his involvement in all of this, I also perceived them as cowardly and defamatory. As for everyone else involved that did anything underhanded or defamatory over the last year, I am still well within the statute of limitations for bringing a civil action to seek recovery for my damages. Should I proceed with this course of actions, my attorneys will be deposing all witnesses who have information about the truth of what happened here. So for everyone else whose hands are dirty that have not yet come forward, be careful of your allegiance. You don't want to be on the wrong side of the truth. I'm sorry I was unable to provide you with receipts that I'm sure you want. I've told you everything that I can right now. The remainder will be handled privately or at a time that I choose to speak publicly on it again. To the incredible people who watch my videos because they love makeup as much as I do, I'm so sorry that this situation caused so much pain and frustration, and I truly miss you all. And I'm working really hard to heal myself, to become strong again, so that I can come back to this platform that I hold so dear. Doing a really terrible job not crying, Dad. I'm sorry. I just want to get my life back. And I don't want to feel like this. For what? In the description below this video, you're going to find a link where you can learn more about the Spirit Awakening Foundation that was founded by one of my biggest heroes and spiritual advisors, Akuyo Graham. Like, public thank you to you, because this woman helped me so much. She has this grace and love where even just one conversation just really challenges you to look at things through the scope of love and of only rehabilitating and of only loving through it. And I'm grateful for the powerful women in my life that call to love and that call to everything light and healing. And I'm so grateful for her and her work that she is doing to really bring effective healing is important. It's an unusual type of work. And I have spoken before for Voices of the Unheard, where you're giving voice to those who have been silenced. And I just want to take this time and like shine a little light on something good. And I've been supporting this amazing foundation for most of my adult life. They help kids that grew up in tough situations to reach their dreams and to change their lives. All of my AdSense from this video will be donated to the Spirit Awakening and earmarked for their Spirit Home project that will construct a safe place for those kids to come seek guidance and betterment after their release from juvenile boot camps. I appeal you to please take something from my hard lesson learned and be careful who you let influence your decisions. What you see in the media online and what you hear from friends is not always the truth. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated into doing harm in the name of justice. Try to seek peace. Try to find love. Try to hear others' truth. People just want to be heard. So meet them with love and understanding. And I want you all to know that I love you and I love this career so much. Ooh, the sun's going down. I'm going to go for now. Perfect time. The sun is setting. Thank you for listening. And I hope this clears up enough for you to feel like you can forgive me, because that's really important to me. And I'm still working on healing myself. And I'm working through it. And just thank you. Even if the road stops here, I've had more good than bad. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And I really promised to not cry during this video, and I just could not do it. It's been a lot of pain. But I'm turning to God to get me through it, where earlier in my life, I have to say, I ran from God and I blamed him. I'm doing it different this time. I hope there's a small part of this that can help you to feel like you don't have to hate people. It does not fix anything. Even people that you want to cancel. Don't cancel them. Don't hate them. Don't spread hate. Really actually do that. Don't spread hate. You can turn away and give your time to yourself or to something else. You don't have to live there. You don't have to participate. It does nothing. I'm praying for this pain to be healed, and I just want you guys to know that I love you so much. I don't know when you'll see me again. I don't know when you'll see me again. Hopefully sooner than later, but thank you for hearing me out. And at some point I'll be back. And I hope that you will be back as well. All right. I love you all.